pulling all this together. So as I'm gonna tell you. So I never call her Keisha. Her name is Kinfolk. So if I say Kinfolk, you know I'm talking about my sister. When Marcus started talking about retirement about 9 months ago, yeah, it was, I'd already retired. So, you know, as any big brother would do, I'm gonna help my brother kind of navigate this world. And then Kinfolk started talking about this event. All right, what can we do? Because we're going to be there. So Kinfolk was very, very deliberate, like she always is, in making sure I knew what to say in this moment. So, in case y'all didn't get a chance to look at those amazing pictures over there, ignore the one on top with the high socks, the short shorts. It's not that bad if you didn't have enough money to buy your own clothes and dress yourself like we didn't. So, obviously, the full story of my brother's retirement is our father's journey to become an FBI agent. Dad, so what's interesting for folks who don't know bureau nomenclature is that my dad's agent class number was 77, the first class to graduate in 1977. And through my resources down in the Norfolk office, I was able to get a class picture of his. My class was class 97.5, fifth class to graduate in 97, Marcus's class 0316. What was your class?
0401.
0401. Okay, so we have all these, you know, little things. The amazing thing about my dad's adventure or odyssey to become an agent is he grew up in a very small town, Texarkana, Texas. Anyone here know Texarkana, Texas? Oh, no, Cleo. Okay, a few of us. Okay. So, because Google is an amazing thing. I checked the Google this morning. Like, what was the population of Texarkana in 1965 when my dad graduated high school? About 25,000. Why does this 18-year-old from a small town in Texarkana think he's gonna become an FBI agent? He's never been an FBI agent. He hadn't even had an integrated class yet, right? So, my dad, knowing that he can do better, decides he's gonna join the Army. And one of the amazing things that he collected throughout the years was a letter. In response to his inquiry about becoming an FBI agent, J. Edgar Hoover sent my dad a letter and said, go to college, get your degree, then apply. Dad went, all right, that's simple, right? Kind of simple. One of his teachers in high school told him he'd never pass college English. So, with that kind of encouragement, my dad took it upon himself to get a job after getting married, starting a family, to get his degree because he wanted to be an FBI. So off he went in 1977. So I'm right around 7 years old. There's 3 events that I remember distinctly from the early 70s when I'm little. One was breaking my arm because at a 5-year-old, in my 5-year-old mind, my dad pulled up in the driveway. All I wanted to do was jump into his arms. And we had a couch, so I started on one end, and I jumped into his arms as he walked into the door. Surprise, here I am. Yeah, until I missed. Landed on my arm, broke it, that was the last time I did that. The second event that I remember is my dad seemingly being gone forever. It was probably no more than 4 months, but at 5, 6 years old, it felt like an eternity. And that's when we got the FBI job. The third event was my parents bringing home my little brother. So obviously, it was no secret that my mom was pregnant, right? And my parents said, you're gonna have a brother or sister, we're gonna bring him home. All right, whatever, I don't know what that means. So one day they show up, here he is. I'm like, what do I do with this guy? became evident quickly what I do with my brother, because my dad he believed in a couple of things. He believed in right and wrong, he believed in family, right? So what does that mean? That means that means that when they're not around, I'm responsible for this knucklehead, right? So, a couple of lessons I learned really quickly. I know we are evolved now and no one spanks their kids anymore. Back then, my parents liked to whoop. So, a couple of whoopings I got. One was I hit my brother and I shouldn't have. Got a whooping for that. Didn't make that mistake again. Another whooping I got was when we were out playing and we were playing with older kids that were my age, and my brother. Anyone ever know my brother that run his mouth too much? Anybody who's known him to run his mouth too much, I want to see a hand. Okay. All right. So imagine being 10 years old and your 4-year-old brother is tagging along because you can't go anywhere without him, and non-stop, right? So the second whooping I got that I never forgot was the time he ran his mouth and he got beat up. And I said, there you go. And I go home. And my dad says, what happened? I was like, he was running his mouth and got beat up. He said, like, what did you do? Like, it wasn't my fight. I had nothing to do with it. I got a whooping for that because clearly it's my fight. So, what I didn't do ever again, 2 lessons I learned: I didn't hit my brother, didn't let him fight by himself. Right. So, somehow, and as a parent, I reflect on this, he never was told, stop running your mouth. I continued to have to fight for that. And we come home, and my dad will look at us, and I'm upset because I had to have another fight. And he would say, well, what happened? I tell him what happened. Mark's is sitting there. Like, what did you want? Yeah, I won. Let's go eat. Like, that was it. So, I don't know about anyone else, but I don't have a really strong memory of my dad as an agent. What does that mean? And I can say that having been an agent. I didn't come home, talk to my kids about what being an agent was, right? But I did know a couple of things. One, my dad was incredibly proud of being an agent, right? Incredibly proud. I could tell because whenever I was with him and he would talk to someone and they'd ask him what he did for a living, he'd kind of perk up a little bit. Yeah. The other thing is that he was fearless. I'm not sure if he was fearless because he was an agent or he became an agent because he was fearless, but because he was fearless, I have no worries. And which probably contributed to my brother's. And to be fair, we both do it sometimes. We gave it to Michelle last night at dinner, just because we love her. So, we joke, clown, all the time. As a teenager, I had the opportunity to visit my dad's office. He worked in the Houston office, he worked in the Newark office, worked in the New York office, and back to Newark. And there were 2 things that stood out to me when I visited his office. He had 2 pieces of paper posted up on his noteboard, 2 handwritten notes. One was scripture, Proverbs 28:1. The evil man flee, though no one pursue, but the righteous is as bold as a lion. If you're not doing nothing wrong, why you gotta run? The other thing that was on his desk was the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. And that kind of summarized who my dad was. He believed in right and wrong. He believed in getting involved. He he believed in being part of the solution. That was the man that we watched every day, our inspiration. Okay, I got more. So, where am I on my notes? I'm actually doing pretty good without looking at my notes. I didn't start out wanting to be an agent. My degrees in business, I was going to be rich, because that's what happens. You major in business, you get a job, and you become rich, just like that. In my head, that's how it works. And then I got a job, and we were grinding, and I wasn't fulfilled. So I remember I called my dad one day. I'm like, tell me about this agent thing. I'm probably 25, 26. Tell me about this agent thing. And he said something that he said plenty of times. He's like, it's the greatest job you'll ever have. He said, you'll never be rich, but if you're smart with your money, you'll never be poor. And you'll never have any regrets about it. Okay, I'm good. So my wife, we're sitting here with the camera. At the time we were engaged, we were getting serious. I'm like, all right. This man has set this image for us about what it is to be a husband and a father, and first and foremost, taking care of your family. I can take care of my family. All right, so let me apply the combination. See what happens. Little note, I thought I didn't get in because I thought for those agents in the room, I thought I failed miserably my Hamilton interview. I walked out thinking there's no way they're taking me. This is one of those times where having a dad who's an agent probably didn't hurt at all. So, but I got to the academy and I realized there are a lot of impressive people here, which again makes me reflect on this guy who, from the small town in Texarkana, like how did you have the audacity to think that this was something for you? Which just one of the amazing things. So, go to the academy, I get to New York. My brother, around this time, is finishing high school, going to college, and he's majoring in criminal justice. Obviously, my dad's influenced that as well. 2000, my brother started working for the Secret Service, right? And I was sent proud of my brother. Anybody work for the Secret Service in the room? Okay. I knew he wasn't taking a bullet for nobody. I'm like, this is probably not the job for him. Not that it has until recently. Not that it's really going to be necessary, but you know. And then, are you in Iowa or Idaho? Iowa. My brother calls me from a runway in Iowa, where he was standing for hours in the cold, waiting for a plane to land. And I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm waiting for the plane to land. Like, well, what are you doing? Like, making sure nothing shows up. Like, you got on long johns or overcoats? Like, you can't wear overcoats. It's like, you just out there freezing. I said, yeah. I was like, this sucks. At that point, I knew I probably wasn't going to spend too much time in the Secret Service. 2001, Dad retired at 24 years. It was shortly after 9/11. My dad had battled cancer for a while, and obviously, after 9/11, there were some changes that needed to be made in our government's intelligence community processes. I'll leave it at that. Dad said, this is a good time for me to punch out. My dad had worked criminal. He was a gang, bank robbery, organized crime. There was nothing he wanted to do with national security work. He's like, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna leave. So Dad decides to retire. Bruce is here. Everybody, this is Bruce. Bruce is a good family friend. Bruce was my dad's partner back in 89. So Bruce has been a friend of our family's for a long time. Bruce told me, and I don't know if you remember this, Bruce, that when my dad decided he was going to retire, he said, I want you to organize my retirement, I want you to MC it. And I thought, all right, Dad trusts Bruce, and Bruce has been with us ever since. Dad passed away in 2010. Bruce calls us to check on us periodically to make sure we're okay. That is part of our bureau story, having friends that are like family that check on you all the time. So, Dad leaves in 2001. Marcus decides he's going to join the bureau in 2003. So, Marcus works for the Secret Service in New York. I work in the New York office of the FBI. The New York agents had some sort of connection with Pace University, and we could go over and play basketball once a week, right? Remember this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I told my brother, as he's preparing to go to the academy, I don't give him a lot of advice, but I told him, like, be careful out there. There's a lot of dudes who don't know how to play ball. And see, right there. Yeah, if you don't know how to play, then that's when the injuries occur. So my brother is weeks from going to the academy. He calls me up. He's like, yeah, I hurt my knee. I'm like, well, how bad are we talking? He's like, yeah, I think I tore my ACL. So we sat down, we strategized. I'm like, all right, if you wait for your ACL to recover, it's going to be 6 months at best, a year. We don't know when other opportunities come along. Like, you gotta figure this thing out. So I said, look, the only things that you're going to be evaluated on when it comes to running is a sprint and a distance run, not zigzag. If you can run straight, you can do it. Put the knee brace on, tighten it up, you're a better athlete than half the cats in that class. Just run straight. When you start zigzagging, take your time. But you're not going to be evaluated on that, right? Just take your time. So throughout the academy, I said, how's the knee? How's the knee? It's all right, it's all right. It's like, all right, you got a PT tomorrow. Remember, don't forget, run straight. You don't have to be first. You just got to beat the time. Just beat the time. Nobody cares once you graduate that you were first or you were last in your run. Just beat the time. So, brother graduates in the academy. Gets to New York, and I remember telling him, this is one of the other times I give my brother some advice. 2 pieces of advice. One, as an agent, if you think you're interested in it, do it. The Bureau will provide you a ton of opportunities to do stuff. And if you can articulate why it's necessary, the Bureau will pay for it. So my brother has a firearms instructor, undercover, Bureau taught him how to paid him learn Spanish, CI, CT, all kind of amazing stuff. So he took that piece of advice. Okay. The other piece of advice. Do not get involved with a coworker. In my short time in the Bureau, at that point, I have 6 years or so in, and like, don't get involved with the coworker. Like, I've seen what happens when these office romances don't go well. It gets ugly and nasty. Okay. What I didn't know was he had met someone at the academy, and that little thing going, right? But I do remember the first time I met Kim Folk. Kim Folk was actually still at the academy. And
careful. Watch yourself.
the academy. And my sister-in-law in full Crystal Springs, Mississippi said, 10. Which I thought was hilarious. So I do what I do, which is make fun. And I'm expecting my brother to join in because we're gonna make fun because it's what we do with my brother sat there like, nope, you're on your own with this one. That's when I knew that Kinfolk was different and special, and I am so glad that he ignored that piece of advice. So, I gotta catch up to my notes now. As Marcus and Kinfolk started to get farther along their relationship, like I could see the change in my brother, right? Like, again, he can joke and clown, give people a hard time. And like her influence was calm, which as an older brother is the only thing you want. You want your sibling, well, all your siblings, to find someone that they're going to connect with, equally yoked, they're gonna be on the same team, have the same vision. And I am so glad for them together. What I said to my sister-in-law, like, you know he's a handful, right? She's like, yeah, we'll be all right. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, fast forward to about 2006, and we all live in New Jersey, and we have like family there, like everybody. They want to come to our house because we have Leah, who's at that point debated, wait, everybody. And we have 4 agents at the table, right? And my wife, who is a banker, is subjected to all this bureau talk every time we get together. Now, obviously, she loves all of us, but I don't know if I would have had the patience to listen to her and 3 of her siblings talk about banking all the time. But that's just me. She has always been incredibly supportive and patient of all of us and what we have chosen to do. So, last year, I retired. I was eligible in 2020. I started looking in 2022 and not really finding anything I wanted to do. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And so what I decided was, I don't know what I want to do, but I know what I don't want to do. And as I have been talking to my brother the last few months, I'm like, if you can't figure out what you want, figure out what you don't want. And that for me has been the biggest blessing. I work for Dollar Tree now, and it's been awesome. Y'all go out and Michelle, it's $1.75, but you can handle it. The best part, and SJ said this, that once you walk away from law enforcement, you're able to shake some of that stuff off. You don't always realize the weight that you carry. You don't always realize. And you don't always get a chance to enjoy all the things that you should be enjoying because you're watching the door, because somebody walked in and got a bulge on their hip that you kind of concerned about, or you just can kind of shake it loose. Who's still active, by the way? I know. All right. Y'all who are still active, thank you so much. And we for those of us that are retired, we send you our prayers and best wishes. Stay safe, be smart, navigate all the stuff that's going on now. Know that there are some of us out here that are cheering y'all on, and we are really, really wanting y'all to get it right, because we depend on you. I put it down. I don't have creds, no cuffs. Something goes down, I'm waiting on y'all to jump in. So, after 25 years of law enforcement, my brother has decided to step down and put it all aside. And I am so happy that he has this collection of friends and family who are willing to come out and support. Because, as Kendall said, it takes a village. And there are times, particularly when you are in a law enforcement job, and my brother's been a supervisor, and it's doing something that's really stressful. Sometimes you need your village to help you, one, remember why you do it, but two, help you get your mind off of it. Because carrying it around, it's just heavy sometimes. You want to be able to let it go. Laugh about the game, laugh about what the kids did, laugh about what your neighbor did. So thank all of y'all for my brother.
You're all right, baby.
So. What's funny is my wife told me twice, don't cry. Like she knew that was my terrible. For my brother. Dad is proud of you. Yeah, you are. Husband, you are. Father, you are.
Give me emotional.